everyone, and welcome to the season finale of the Panel B podcast. I'm your host, Alex Jankowski. He is Steve Buchanan, and one of us will not be here for season 2, but more on that later.
Wow.
A lot of things going on in the Panel B world.
Yeah.
Julian is with child. We got confirmation on the last episode. Seems like everyone's doing great. That's awesome. Very excited to hear that. He has no idea what is in store for him. No. Other big news, it's this guy's birthday.
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Very exciting. I appreciate the gift you gave me of drinking out of my cup right before the show started. Your DNA on my cup is what I was asking for.
You tell I have a little bit more energy now?
Oh, yeah.
I think that is a gift.
Yeah.
I'm helping bring it.
I think you actually read the script for the season finale, and that's why you're so excited. That's what I'm That's what I'm thinking.
Yep, I got to get in my screen time while I can. And also wearing the Frankenstein shirt.
Yep.
Fan favorite.
Yep. Just for you.
We say no free ads, but Frankenstein,
He's in the building.
Free real estate here at the Panel B podcast. And we, of course, are here a day earlier than usual. We're here on Tuesday because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So kind of a special, I would say longer. We went almost an hour when it was just me and you yesterday.
Which is amazing because, Julian never shuts up. And then we take him out of the mix, just you and I, and then we couldn't shut up.
Well, he usually spends the first half of the show doing research for the show and then joins us about 15 minutes in. So who knows? Maybe he'll call in. We'll see. But we have 3 Thanksgiving games we're going to get to.
Yeah.
We then still have a full slate of games on Sunday. It's still 11 games because no more buys, which is awesome. Maybe we'll even talk. Anthony Davis is returning to New Orleans tomorrow in the NBA.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, there's your analysis there. Probably good to play him. Revenge spot. And we'll get to our picks. So we're going to do 1 pick for the Thanksgiving games, 1 pick for the Sunday games.
Yes.
And real quick, if we can return there, Anthony Davis is not the revenge spot. You want to take all the guys who were on the Lakers and got traded to the Pelicans. That's the actual revenge spot there. Anyways. But we're going to break down all 3 games like we would a primetime game, talk about the spread, betting angles that we like, and then we'll touch a little bit on Showdown as well. And then we have a special stack that we're going to get to a little bit later on. Also, packed show.
Yeah.
Lot to get to. I should probably stop talking now and let's actually get into the games.
I think we should.
Very exciting. Bears, Lions, a Thanksgiving special, if there ever was one. Bears, 3-point favorites. On the road, I'm reading that correctly. The Bears are favored on the road against the Lions.
You got it.
38.5 is the over/under. So if you're a late riser, don't just sleep in for this game. Just don't even bother. Minus 155 for the Bears on the money line, plus 128 for the Lions at home. How are you looking at this one?
So, both teams are awful against the spread. Bears 3-8. Both in against the spread and the over/under. So
great.
Not a very profitable team. Only 2-6.
Oh, they are if you bet the under.
Yeah, well, that's very true. 2-6 against the spread as favorites.
Okay.
So they've been favored actually fairly often, but they don't come through in the betting sense.
They were actually kind of good last year, despite having it's maybe because their defense scored 5 times every game.
Right. So here's the way I'm looking at it: is that Driscoll's on the injury report. He's got a hamstring injury.
That is
true. So that's the biggest thing.
Right.
So now, if he's out,
David Blough.
Yeah, I do not think that's the way you say it.
Blough. Bluff?
Something like that. Right. Blau. Oh, Blau. I think that's it, actually. Blau.
That's when you know it's actually pronounced blow. He just doesn't want to get made fun of. So he's actually, it's Blau.
Blau.
Sir. I went to Purdue, sir.
Right. So undrafted quarterback. Could be making his first start.
Maker. Sorry.
My goodness. Blow maker.
Sorry, the energy drink is coursing through my veins.
I like it. I wish you'd done this more in season 1.
Yeah.
It would have been nice.
We'll have to see if I return in season 2.
Ooh, that's a good tease. But yeah, so that's obviously the biggest thing here. If he's out, good God, man. This game's just going to be a massacre of...
Bo Scarblough is going to run rampant over the Bears defense.
He's going to take a Joe Mixon role and go, 30 times even if they're losing by 40. But that's the biggest thing right now. Obviously, it's tough to figure out because you could have Mitch Trubisky and an undrafted quarterback from Purdue.
Who would you rather have as your quarterback? Give me the savings on the undrafted rookie.
I might take him. I don't care. Mitch
the
Trubisky's
devil you know
bad.
or the devil you don't.
Yeah. So it makes sense that the Bears are favorite at this point.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be betting this game
Sure.
There's not a lot of things that you can like in this game, but
the under.
Yeah.
The Lions-Redskins line was 32.5 in the under hit
No,
comfortably.
I know. I hate betting unders on a total that is so low for 38 because there's so little room for error.
It's not that even low. It's not that low.
We could get okay. So we got
again. It was 32.5 last week.
Was it that low?
It was that low.
God. Okay. But 36 was the one
maybe
that
it wasn't
over my
that
head.
low. Maybe it was
32 is asinine.
Yeah.
The number.
It was something really low.
We'll put it in the middle. We'll go 36.
Sure.
But at
we
38,
don't do facts here.
No, we don't. We don't care about that. 38.
Yeah.
It's just so low, especially if we're going to have Blau potentially in the mix. Could be some interceptions in this game against a good pass rush of the Bears. Mistakes happen, fumbles happen. Defensively, they could score a few times here in this game if he ends up playing. That's where that low total gets dicey for me.
Sure.
So that's where I don't like betting that. To me, this is just a stay away game. From DFS purposes, Anthony Miller is someone who's been popping off lately. 20 targets over his last 2 games, 12 receptions, 131 yards. And going against Justin Coleman in coverage in the slot, just been someone who's been literally burned all season long. 13 yards per reception. 13 yards per receptions that he's allowing. He's scored on 7 times already. So one of those cheap guys that you can look at to kind of fit into your lineup to get some of the higher names in. Really like Anthony Miller in this game. But other than that, this is just such a stay away game for me.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty ugly, and they at least put it on early, so it's over quickly. And yeah, I mean in those cases usually I'll go with then the underdog just to cover more bases, but it's straight at 3, so like you're talking about potential push. We'll see kind of how it goes. There's actually less juice on the Bears -3, so we might see a shift there. We'll have to see if we get any more movement.
Well, picture this scenario. Can you think to yourself that you're sitting somewhere, you're looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook, and you go, I'm going to put some money on the Bears in this game. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to spend my Thanksgiving. In between eating, I'm going to put some money on the Bears.
Well, if you truly dislike Thanksgiving as much as you do, then yeah, who knows? Maybe that's going to be the way that you look at it.
Just add to my day of misery. Put some money on the Bears. Why the hell not?
Oh man. Well, maybe it gets a little bit better.
I think today will be the biggest game changer because we'll see if Driscoll practices in a limited fashion, a full fashion. Because by that point, then we just got a day left.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's going to be too late if you're going to take a side on this one. So I think like today is where you're going to have to figure out if you're going to take a certain side or not, depending on how Driscoll practices. Can you imagine? We're sitting here wondering, Jeff Driscoll is one that's hindering if we're going to bet on this game or not. What a world.
What a world that we live in, indeed. And the Bengals probably wouldn't want Jeff Driscoll back this year, so they don't have to go with the Andy Dalton, Ryan Lindley.
Well, he's in such a good spot, though. Like, they couldn't have put him in a more cupcake match to bring him back this week. Yeah. He's in a fantastic spot this week. Like, he's got against the Jets. He's going to be used in DFS purposes.
I mean, I think it was when they lost that game and the Redskins won to give them a 2-game cushion on the first overall pick. They're like, okay, now let's get a win to at least make it somewhat respectable. And that is the best spot for them to get a win.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to see if they can actually do it.
He'll be over 10% owned.
And then all of a sudden, AJ Green's ankle's going to feel great. He's just going to be like, all right, we're back.
Yep.
All right, let's move to the next game on Thanksgiving. That's maybe a little bit more exciting here. Bills, Cowboys. The Bills haven't played on Thanksgiving in many years since they were getting their brains beaten in by the Cowboys in Super Bowls.
I had noticed.
Yeah. Bills plus 6.5 underdogs.
Yep.
It was at 7, and then the primetime game, or the Cowboys-Patriots game happened, coupled with the Bills beating the Broncos pretty soundly. Over-under is 45.5, plus 235 for the Bills on the money line, minus 295 for the Cowboys. A Cowboys team that can't run the ball consistently, or at least not explosively.
Right.
There's a guy on Twitter, don't have his username in front of me, but he's tracking how many rushes of 20-plus yards Ezekiel Elliott has this year and Ryan Tannehill. And Ryan Tannehill, after his game against his game last week, has taken a 3-1 lead. He now has 3 rushes of 20 or more yards, whereas Zeke has 1. Wow. Cooper was made invisible by Stephon Gilmore.
Yep.
Now has to face Tre'Davious White. But all that said, the Cowboys are still, from a yardage perspective, the best offense in football. And they are 6.5-point favorites now at home. Like I said, though, bet down from it was at 7.
Right. I think this is a good spot to bet the Bills. They're actually one of the best teams against the spread so far this year. 7-3-1, which is tied for first. As underdogs, 3-0-1. So this is a spot. I think this is a spot for them. Don't like the over-under because the Bills just don't score enough. They're 3-8 in the over-under, which makes sense because they just don't score a lot of points.
Or when they do score points, then they're like, all right, we're just going to run the ball now.
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen will
I think they're still averaging around 18.5 for the year right now. So that's a lot of points for the Cowboys to make up again. What's been a pretty decent Bills defense. Like their secondary, like you would just say, doesn't get enough love. Mm-hmm. And we saw Amari Cooper get shut down last week against Gilmore. Gilmore's been playing out of his mind.
Sure.
So it's hard to compare that. But White is just pretty much, he's in the same realm.
He held Cortland Sutton to 1 catch and 8 targets.
And Cortland Sutton was a pretty popular option last week as well. So, and the other weird thing was that Cooper was off the field more than usual.
He's dealing with some injuries and the weather and stuff.
But that's a concern.
Yeah.
Tough coverage, dealing with some injuries, that's a concern there. So I know Michael Gallup has taken a big step forward this year, but I really like the Bills at that number. I think that's a fair number for them. If you want to add another half point on there, I don't hate that either, paying up for that. But I think there's actually a lot to like for the Bills here, who surprisingly is the best team against the spread so far.
Yeah, I was surprised. I knew the number would go down from 7, but it looks like it got bet down. I thought it was just going to go down because they released these lines early before the Sunday games.
I think they were even up last week.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I figured after the performances that both teams put on that it would come down, but it didn't happen at least right away. It took a little time, and now it has been. So the Bills are minus 107 at plus 6.5. Cowboys are minus 114 at minus 6.5. So it's just reached that top, and we'll see if it goes down again. But I think getting to under 7 for someone who likes the Cowboys in a bounce back spot, which I do, I think that was big, getting under the 7 there. The 45.5. I mean, I do think the under is certainly in play if you like a Bills. I think if you could put together the under with a Bills cover, because if the Bills are able to play their game, win or lose, the game is close. You think about when they lost to the Patriots by 6 points, right? And they were able to contain that offense, which doesn't sound like it's that difficult these days, but this is going to be the best offense that they've faced, by far this season. And I think, what scares me is what in their loss to the Eagles, what the Eagles were able to do running between the tackles as well as they did with Jordan Howard. If Zeke can do that in this spot at home, then they're going to be the ones who kind of control the pace and get a win. And Josh Allen has avoided bad mistakes. He threw 1 interception last week, didn't hurt him. If he could continue to do that, it is a good spot there for the Bills to cover. What do you think, though, from a DFS perspective? If you're thinking showdown for this game, Amari Cooper's going to come in severely under-owned. Is that what you're thinking, or who are you looking at?
John Brown.
Yeah.
By far, John Brown. He's going to see a Awuzie in coverage.
Right.
Now, when you think of the Cowboys secondary, they've been great. Like, you can't say that they haven't, but this is the guy that you want to target against here. He's allowing a 61% catch rate, 14.6 yards per reception. For someone like John Brown, who's that deep shot guy, this is a perfect guy to be targeting against. Brown's averaging 14.8 yards per reception on the year. We've seen him kind of come alive the past few weeks. Like it was pretty quiet for kind of the middle of the season there, but at the same time, the schedule wasn't really favoring him specifically. They were facing a lot of good secondaries. This is another one, but his individual matchup is exploitable. And for somebody who, if you like the Cowboys to win this game, we got the Bills playing from behind, this would be the perfect spot for someone like John Brown.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of only 2 receivers to have at least 50 yards in every game up until last week, going up against Chris Harris. but salvaged that at least with a touchdown. He only got 4 targets in that game after getting 14 against Miami, 11 against Cleveland. So in good spots, they know, we will go to him. I would, though, so John Brown as a captain is 13,800. It's actually more than Amari Cooper, more than Devin Singletary.
Wow.
I might go, if I'm going to pay up for a captain, I would go a little bit more to 15,900 and take Josh Allen, I think.
Okay.
If I like John Brown, because John Brown certainly is a between the 20s guy.
Yep.
Because of his limitations from a size perspective, though, not exactly a red zone threat.
Yep.
And when they get in the red zone, Devin Singletary, not a red zone threat either. Obviously, there's Frank Gore, but more and more times it is Josh Allen running the ball.
Yeah.
So if I want to try and, we talked about, yesterday with Lamar Jackson and like, how can we justify paying up? You should have paid up.
Yep.
Because he just dominates so much of everything that they do. Josh Allen is similar, he's not Lamar Jackson. Let's get that out there. But,
right.
He is a viable running option, certainly when they're in the red zone. So at 15,900, cheaper than Zeke, cheaper than Dak.
Yep.
If I'm paying up at captain, I like that. And you still got plenty of room to work. But then you do got Devin Singletary, 12,600. Cole Beasley, 11,100.
Yep.
In games where, last week was a Cole Beasley game because of the pass rush and Chris Harris, you work more in the slot. You saw that.
And I like Allen is running more. And more efficiently, too. Like, you look at his last 3 games, 9, 7, and 6 attempts, 56, 56, 28.
Right.
Like, for a little while there, it wasn't that he stopped running, but he wasn't doing it efficiently. Like, he wasn't choosing the right spots, it felt like. But now he's been getting out there. He's been getting some good yardage, too. Like, you look at his long rushes, 18, 16, 12. Whereas before, he was getting single digits during the week. So everything seems to be suddenly coming together for Allen, who started off hot, kind of took a step back, and now we're back to what we saw at the beginning of the year. So, I mean, this is someone that's going to put up points, especially like in a showdown slate when you have a mobile quarterback like this. Like, you're getting a little bit of everything, and for him being as cheap as he is as a captain to take that at 15,900, when you think of some of the other mobile quarterbacks in a captain spot, this feels pretty cheap for somebody who can do that. Whereas we just had someone like Jackson, who 2 totally different players, but he was over 20,000 to captain. Like. I'll take that 15,900.
And you still probably should have captained him. I don't know if I could have really made it work.
I did say Hollywood.
Yeah.
That was looking real good in the first quarter and a half or so. That was looking really good.
Yeah, they just didn't need him. You could have paired Jackson with like Willie Snead. Miles Boykin caught both of his targets.
Everybody.
So you go down there. But, Josh, it was a concerted effort for him to be more of a passer and not scramble as much. And he's not scrambling as much. But they're scripting more runs for him too, so he'll still get 3 or 4 scripted carries with your every now and then your scramble as well. So certainly viable. And if you like the Cowboys at -6.5, you might like Josh Allen there too, because he might turn the ball over, but that's on top of that they're going to throw a lot more if they're playing from behind. Let's go to a game that was the Thanksgiving late game last year. And despite the Falcons being terrible, it was still an entertaining game. More of the same, although the Falcons did beat the Saints a couple weeks ago. But now you got Saints going to Atlanta. They're -6.5. The over-under is set at 49. Saints -305. Falcons +240. So when you look at this one, are the Falcons going to be able to duplicate what they did when they limited Drew Brees in that offense a couple weeks ago, or Saints get back to a good spot here?
The Falcons are the most fraudulent team in the NFL. Okay, let's just get that straight. They're the biggest frauds. So everybody fell in love with them for the 2 weeks, and then they get absolutely, I almost used shellacked. They got absolutely roasted last week by the Buccaneers. And they were favorites, so you fell for the trap.
Yeah.
I specifically tweeted that out days and days before, saying I was so excited to avoid this line. And I was right. Give me a pat on the back. Thank you. That was very much appreciated. The interesting thing I saw about the Saints is they're 7-4 against the spread. All 4 of the games that they didn't cover were with Drew Brees. Now, one of those games was when he left with the injury.
Man.
Yeah. Teddy B, he covers.
Yeah.
He's the cover master. But I was surprised that he was involved in all of them, Drew Brees. Because you think about, how much more dynamic this offense looks with Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look bad with Teddy Bridgewater, but for me, when I think about Drew Brees in the mix, it just feels like it runs so much more efficient. It's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
It feels like. So I was surprised by that one there. But
how should we dive into the narrative of like the defense isn't trying as hard when it's Drew Brees because it's like, well, I know the offense can keep us.
Is that
in
a thing?
I don't know.
Is that a rumor?
Let's play that out though. Like, okay, when you're a defense and your team is starting, a backup quarterback, and you're a team with Super Bowl aspirations, it's like you're stepping up your game maybe to help compensate. The game plan on the offensive side is a little more conservative, and literally only looking at that number or trying to draw a conclusion from it is probably not the smartest thing in the world, but it's out there.
Oh, it's fair. It's fair. I mean, it makes sense, but. So I was surprised by that one.
It's like now we don't have to cover DJ Moore because we got Drew Brees playing.
So Saints 3-3 is favorites. The Falcons are 4-7 against the spread. 4-4 as underdogs. 4-7 with the over/under. Just the most aggravating team to place a bet on at this point. But again,
their defense was the one limiting them from hitting the over a couple weeks.
And they ended up being frauds.
Yeah. Shocker.
The Buccaneers come in. Winston doesn't even know who's on his team. And they're the one that just absolutely, turns them into this bag of mush.
He's like, all right, got my interception out of the way on the first pass. Now we can go to work.
But injuries again playing a factor. Julio Jones, I think did not practice yesterday on Monday. Which is really unfortunate because there's another injury with Marshawn Lattimore.
Right.
So if Lattimore is out and Julio Jones is in, that means that P.J. Williams would be the one on Julio Jones, and he should absolutely feast against P.J. Williams. He has just been putrid in coverage, 67.7 catch rate, allow an average of 15 yards per reception. Like, that is a matchup that Julio Jones should absolutely feast on, but the injury is a concern. The other one, though, that we have to watch for, Michael Thomas. You cannot fade Michael Thomas this week. Isaiah Oliver is the one who's going to be covering him. I think we've talked about Oliver in the show before. Oh, he was the one that covered DJ Moore in that game a couple weeks ago and didn't do too well. 13 yards per reception, but 47% of the yards that Oliver has allowed have come after the catch. Now you got somebody like Michael Thomas in the mix. Good luck.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Michael Thomas, the most expensive player. I think from betting angle for me, over 49. Like, let's have some fun. You ate all your Thanksgiving or you didn't.
Is it?
What?
Is it a lock for the over? I was thinking the under.
Well, maybe we'll make some picks later on. No. Sorry. I'm taking the over. Let's have some fun. It's Thanksgiving. Dome. Primetime game. Michael Thomas is the most expensive player in the showdown slate.
Captain.
Yeah, not too expensive as a captain. I mean,
no, really not.
Again, this is all now because we just talked about Lamar Jackson at over 20,000, so everything seems cheap.
Right,
Michael Thomas is $17,400 as a captain. He needs to be in your lineup no matter what as a flex, 11,600, because no matter what game script you're talking about, he is going to get his. A player that I think is really interesting. You talk about the injuries to not only Julio Jones but Hooper as well. Guy who stepped up last week, Russell kill switch in Gage. Russell Gage, he's 4,600. He last week got 10 targets, caught 8 of them, 76 yards for 15.6 DraftKings points. What?
The kill switch and Gage switch reference just threw me for a loop.
You a little metal action going?
No. I mean, I appreciate it very much. You do not like a kill switch engage guy at all.
I dabbled.
Were you like in the pits, like throwing fisticuffs?
No. I was more on the outside, not doing much throwing down in the breakdowns.
Sorry, go ahead.
Learning new things about me every day, man.
Yeah, I hope you're in season 2.
We'll have to see. So anyways, Russell Gage. Also Kadri Olsen, another guy, like the value that you're getting on the Falcons these past couple weeks has been really great. He doesn't do a lot, but he's scored a touchdown in 2 straight games, and the running back situation in Atlanta is pretty terrible as well. So you're hoping for New Orleans to just come out and blow the doors off, and then you get these cheap guys who are just going to clean up a little bit. So 2 value guys that I like as well.
So
Matt Schaub at 5,800 threw a touchdown last week. So.
I mean, he's been in the game numerous times this season. So no, please don't play him.
They priced him up because of it.
Yeah, you know what's crazy too? He actually almost had as many points as Matt Ryan in that limited appearance. And I think it was a couple of weeks ago when Ryan came out, Schwab actually passed him in fantasy points. That's a couple of games that Matt Ryan faltered.
It only took him 15 years to get the pick sixes out of his system. And
yeah, he's going after the Jameis Winston mentality.
Yeah.
So with Julio Jones off the field. They run the ball 54% of the time compared to the 26 that he's on the field. So obviously that's a big thing. But no Devonta Freeman, as far as I believe he's still out for this week. I don't think that's been announced officially, but that's the consensus. And then you look at the targets here, where the targets go without Julio Jones. I was actually surprised that Gage is the leader, not Calvin Ridley.
Flipping the kill switch.
Kill switch and Gage. Oh, my God. So Gage at 16.7%, Calvin Ridley at 12.5%. So they're pretty much the same there. But the biggest difference here from me is that the ADOT for Calvin Ridley goes up to 14.3. We're from the 11 that it's usually at.
Right.
So that's a pretty significant jump there. Red zone targets with Julio Jones out, Ridley hasn't seen one. That I was also surprised about. It's been Gage. Yeah. 14.3%. So the kill switch and Gage. Here we go. So if Julio Jones is out, Gage is the number one that I think you just have to absolutely lock into your lineups. Like he's not someone you can ignore with so many injuries on the field. And those numbers are even with Austin Hooper in the mix.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of targets to be given out.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you captain him. He's 6,900 as a captain.
Nice.
Leaves you 8,600 for everyone else.
That's a lot. You can easily put in Thomas Breeze.
Everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's interesting. That'll be interesting to shake out. Jared Cook, another one, had a big game last week.
Well, that means he's going to suck this week. That's Jared. You want to talk about frauds.
Oh, come on.
He's the Falcons of the tight end position. He disappears every other game.
He's been okay. There's too many mouths to feed in New Orleans.
He's been okay. Look at this. Look at this game log. 21.9, 99 yards, then 33, then 74, then 37. Up and down and up and down.
Yeah, but he was also hurt for like 4 weeks. I mean, give the man a break. He's trying to feed his family.
I mean, he's getting paid no matter what. I think they're eating pretty well.
But even in that game against the Falcons in Week 10, 6 catches, 10 targets, 13.4 DraftKings fantasy points. I mean, it's not terrible for a guy who's 6,600.
Right.
So that's someone else you got to look at too. But yeah, this game is going to be interesting just because there's a lot to play out here. There's a lot of ways this game could go depending on how the injuries shake up.
The Michael Thomas game log is just absolutely insane.
Oh, so it's ridiculous.
He's been over 5 straight games, including that when they scored 9 points against Atlanta. He still had 13 catches on 14 targets for 152 yards.
It's funny because every week his prop is usually around 105 receiving yards, and I have no problem taking the over.
Oh, of course.
Like, that's such a high, ridiculous number, and there's so much variance that can not happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he just consistently gets it.
Yeah.
And even in games where they're losing, like that when they lost to Atlanta, 9-26, he still had 152 yards on 13 catches.
Yeah.
The guy's like unscripted. You can't script him out. He's just constantly in the mix.
Did you just literally repeat the same stat line I just did? I said even in that loss against Atlanta where they only scored 9 points, he had 13 of 14.
You know what it is? I got kill switch engaged in my head, like they're playing the music. I was so distracted.
Sure.
This fire burns.
Yeah.
Always.
All right, real quick before we get to Sunday's games then, what is your bet for the Thanksgiving games that you're taking?
Yeah, so it was a little tough because for the most part, I think these games are a little bit tough to figure out because of so many injuries, but I'm just going to take the Saints minus 6.5. I think that's the way to go here. Even if Julio Jones is in this game, even if Marshall Lattimore is out of this game, I still like the Saints here. They just they're fully healthy, whereas the Falcons are not. If Julio Jones is in this game, who knows what type of production we're going to get out of him here. So out of all these games, this feels like the safest bet, which probably means it's going to get totally ruined, but that's where I'm at.
All right, and for me, I'm going with the other 6.5-point favorite. I'm going with the Cowboys at home.
You're going to go against your own team.
We did this in the Guilty Pleasures.
Didn't I sell you enough on taking Buffalo? Did I not do a good enough job?
No.
Fine.
Because there's some teams that shine in the prime time, like the Atlanta Falcons. There's some teams
when
that
do those in prime
shrivel
time?
in the prime. Exactly.
So you don't even know yet. No data to
fun
go
story.
on.
The last time they played the Cowboys in prime time, I remember this was my freshman year of college. They forced Tony Romo to throw, I think it was 5 interceptions. It might have been 4. They were leading the entire game, and they still gave up a game-winning field goal to Nick Folk where they iced him. It was like a 50-something yarder. They iced him. He missed it. They got to kick it again and made it.
What does it have to do with Thursday, this upcoming Thursday?
The mentality of the Buffalo Bills, man.
You know what that reminds me of? Pierce Dietrich, who was on The Sweat.
The namesake of Julian's child.
Yeah. I remember he was arguing me before the baseball season started that, you can't not bet on the Astros because they're last year's World Series winners. What the hell does that have to do with anything? There's nothing to do with anything.
They didn't win the World Series last year.
This was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Whatever it was. But, that was his argument. Oh, you have to bet on the Astros because they won last year. What the hell do I care? It's a whole new year. It's a clean slate. If that's the case, then they should win every year. Right?
I mean, they had some processes in place to kind of help them get there.
Oh, boy.
I guess we don't have to touch on that.
Julian's pick.
Yes.
Yep.
Julian's
pick. So he's not here. So
there's a couple heavy favorites.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do all of them.
Oh, great.
He's taking all 3 favorites. So he's taking the Bears at 155, the Cowboys at 295, and the Saints at 305. That gets you a plus 194.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie.
Because the Bears.
I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like this.
I don't like the Bears. So you take the Bears out, it's minus 129. That's
okay, but that's not the bet.
Move. Yeah,
the Bears are in.
All right. Fine.
Plus 194.
All right. There you go.
I kind of sort of like it, which sucks.
I mean, you already hate Thanksgiving, so why not do some more damage to your psyche? Let's get to Sunday. Do you have any 49ers Ravens in your bet for Sunday? Because I want to talk about that game anyways.
I do not.
Okay, so let's just talk about that game real quick. Real quick, because this episode is going like 2 hours in length. And I love it. 49ers, they're 5-point underdogs flying out to the East Coast to face on a short week to face the Ravens. The Ravens are on the short week.
Yep.
But they're just going home where they're -5. Over-under's 45.5. Interesting note, Lamar Jackson is now basically the MVP. Has been handed it to him. He was plus 100 to win before the game started. Now he's minus 230. For as much as I was on the Russell Wilson bandwagon, because I still think he's not doing more. He's still doing it with less around him.
Yep.
It's hard not to look at last night and be like, yeah, okay, it's going to be Lamar Jackson.
So there was one particular moment that you've seen The Waterboy, correct?
Many times.
Okay.
Not my favorite in the Adam Sandler canon, but
what would be your favorite?
Billy Madison still. It doesn't hold up as well as Happy Gilmore, but for the love that I had for Billy Madison, forever. Sorry.
There was one.
Little Nicky is the best soundtrack, though. Continue.
I agree. Yeah. That is a very good soundtrack. Hey, Valerie. All right, sorry. There was one.
That is not in the soundtrack.
There was one play where Jackson was handed the ball. He fumbled. He had enough time to pick it up and then run to the 1 yard line.
Yep.
Tell me that was not Coach Klein watching the film and goes, and then he drops the ball. They have time to dust it off, and they run it in for a touchdown before anyone even knew what was going on. That was literally the play in real life.
I would have rather had that commentary because I heard the commentary that Booger had when he's breaking it down afterwards, and he's just like, oh my God, it's something about like running lanes. I don't remember, but he's just like, it was bad.
But seriously, watch that play by Jackson.
Yeah, I could
watch
see
that scene from The Waterboy. It is almost the same exact thing.
Well, as someone who went viral with a similar taking another piece of pop culture and molding it with a highlight, I will talk for the next however long it'll take you while you splice those two together.
I actually have to do that. That's actually a brilliant idea. I will credit you. I'm going to do that after the show.
You have to credit you. It was your idea.
All right, I'm doing that after the show.
This is teamwork here.
Yep,
I'll
doing it after the show.
retweet you. Okay.
Thank you.
Birth of a meme. Real quick, who do you like in this game, though?
So I kind of talked about it a little bit last week. I know the 49ers look good.
Yeah.
But this is such a dynamic offense.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to stop Jackson. I don't know how anybody's going to stop Jackson right now. Maybe a year or two from now, teams will figure it out. But as of 2019, they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
They don't know how to do it. He is so unbelievably elusive.
Yeah.
It's insane. I'm literally watching. I can't tell if Ingram has the ball or if Jackson has the ball. It's getting to that point. It really is, though.
Yeah.
And talking about Ingram too, how much of a violent runner is he?
Right.
He is. he's just looked so impressive to me. Like he was good with the Saints and whatnot, but like I just feel like he's taken another step forward. Like when he has the ball, he's violent.
Right.
And you just can't stop these guys.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple plays like Jackson got sacked or tackled for a loss, and so it'd be like 2nd and 15, and they would still run it the next play, and Ingram goes for like 7 or 8 yards.
And another amazing thing, God, I can't talk today. Another amazing thing too is that
all that energy drink.
I know.
You should let me have some of it.
It was midway through the second quarter. They were already up 14-3, and Jackson completed his 5th pass of the day.
Yeah.
And they're already up 14-3.
Yeah.
You can't stop these guys. There's so many ways they can beat you. It's unbelievable. So I think they're going to beat the 49ers. I don't think this game's going to be close. Well, what's the spread right now? 5? I mean, it was 3 against the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to even bet the Niners at +5, just take them on the money line.
I don't think
plus 188. Like, because if the game is anywhere close, then it's pretty much a toss-up. Whereas, if the Ravens are going to win, then they're going to win by more than 5.
And then we talked about it yesterday, too. The 49ers rushing has been – their run defense has been so-so.
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to stop Jackson?
Yeah.
Like, you're not. So it's too bad that can't get flexed into prime time.
Yeah.
But, you know, Patriots, I understand, whatnot, but this is the game this week.
No, that's the game of the week.
Yep.
All right. What is your pick for Sunday?
So I'm actually taking the under in the Patriots-Texans game.
Okay.
It's at 44.5. You don't see these totals in the Patriots games. Mm-hmm. They're consistently low scoring. The Patriots aren't scoring, and the other teams against them aren't scoring.
Yeah.
So I think the Cowboys game was 46.5, I want to say. They didn't even sniff that.
Yeah.
You know? So now we got the Houston who, you know.
Well, the weather will be a little bit better in this game.
Sure. But even if the weather was fine in that game, I still feel like it would have played out almost. Like, what really affected the offenses in that game because of the weather? Was it much? Yeah. I don't really think so. You know what I mean? So this one here, 44.5, just feels too high.
Yeah.
Like, these games are too high because it almost feels like they're going for the team names and the perception of them, not how things have been playing out.
Well, it's a bummer. Will Fuller had a good game last time out, too, because that means he's getting hurt in this one, and we would have liked him to – he'd be in a good – they would need him to step up here. Yeah. Because my pick is actually in this game, too, and I like the Texans +3.
That's fair.
Partly from the same reasoning, in that the Patriots are playing low-scoring, close games.
Yeah.
And I like Deshaun to make at least enough plays that it's close.
Yep.
So getting at least 3 points with the Texans.
I will say, though, and this is like not a big factor, but both teams are struggling with the kickers too.
Yeah.
I know it's not a huge deal, but it's a deal with the spread as close as that.
Yeah.
So that could also be a big difference too as well.
Sure. You got Julian's picks?
Oh, yes,
you gonna finally sabotage him here?
No.
Well, you kind of were giving him the Bears in the last one.
Right. So we're going with the 3 biggest favorites. So we got the Eagles.
Yep.
The Panthers. And the Chiefs.
Okay.
It gets you 118 on the money line.
Yep.
And he would be all happy about that, all excited. But again, all 3 of these games extremely winnable.
Yeah.
Eagles against the Dolphins, Panthers against the Redskins, and the Chiefs against the Raiders.
Yep.
Who just looked putrid
against
the Jets. Like,
shocking. It was a trap game.
That was a trap game. But it didn't feel like one, though. The Raiders have been playing well enough.
Well, yeah, but then you got the Chiefs the next week.
Yeah.
And you have to fly to the East Coast.
Yeah, that's fair. But Raiders are down a receiver.
Yeah.
Renfro has a punctured lung.
Yeah, and played with a punctured lung.
Right. So he's out, and then Terrell Williams has quickly dissipated in this offense. I'm sure they'll be throwing to him more, but for somebody that was so consistent when he was on the field, he's almost disappeared now. So
yeah, they'll need Josh Jacobs, who was stymied by a good Jets run defense.
Great spot for him though.
So this is a good spot for him. And then Eagles at Dolphins. Yeah, I mean, even if the Eagles are trotting out, converted quarterbacks like Greg Ward, you still gotta like that they at least get some people back. They. Releasing Jordan Matthews obviously means that at least one of those guys is coming back. But you see why they signed him back. Like, it's for this one game
How
where
many
they
teams has he been on?
Well, I mean, how many times has he been on the Eagles?
It's like a carousel.
Yeah, each new team, he comes back to Philly for a stop. But it was just because he knew the playbook. He could step in for this one game, even if he looked terrible.
Yep.
and then they should at least get Jeffrey back. They were supposed to get Jeffrey back last week, but they held off. And then, so the Panthers back at home. This one probably scares me the most, even if they are the biggest favorite on the money line, because Kyle Allen can have obviously bad games, and Washington's defense is not terrible. Like, Washington's defense can at least, like, hold its own against bad quarterbacks. Yeah. Kyle Allen might be a bad quarterback. Obviously, ton of weapons on the Panthers, so taking them on the money line versus a 10-point spread, feel much better about, but
39.5 feels a bit low, too, as well.
Yeah.
Just because McCaffrey could literally score 3 times in this game alone. Yeah. You know, so.
But with an 80-year-old coach who just wants to run 80-year-old Adrian Peterson, like, that's partly what keeps it down.
That's fair. But that's a low total for somebody with McCaffrey who should be able to run all over this defense. Yep.
All right. So that's going to do it for that.
All right.
We're going to hit to our stack. It is time for the, we teased the stack. We teased that this is the season finale, in part because there is a change into the guard coming. This is going to be my final Panel B episode. This is my final week at DraftKings. Going to be leaving to pursue some other dreams, some other passions, which is a total bummer, bittersweet, to say the least. In this sad moment, we can reflect on life being brought into this world. That Julian is bringing a child. He'll be back potentially middle of next week, maybe after that. These two will be back to do their thing. Panel B began only because we wanted those two to be in a room saying things that were recorded. I was brought in solely because we didn't feel they would remember to do the odds and lines disclaimer.
That's
speaking
fair.
of which, ladies and gentlemen, the odds and lines are subject to change. Please see website for actual odds. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and would like some help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Thank you.
Literally the only reason I was here to help try and bridge that gap there and bring a little bit of structure. Although we would all say Panel B is at its best when there is no structure.
I would agree. But you'll be very much missed because I think this is a very good 3 tandem that we had here. Although you have been replaced by Julian's baby. We did not want to make that announcement until we went on the air. Julian's baby is going to be the host with the structure.
Yes, tough shoes to fill. Looking forward to the little one, filling in there. Maybe as cute as a little baby Yoda. We have not seen photos yet, so
we have not seen photos. No, he's being very selfish about that, actually.
Can't blame him. All right. So with that in mind,
look at this! Oh, we got a little signage.
Oh, look at that! Thank you. Thank you,
Cody, with the number 1 foam finger too. That's wonderful.
So we felt it was best here to reflect on season 1, our favorite moments about season 1 that transpired.
Yep.
Like any stack, we have to have categories. These categories are inside joke, ridicule, so the best time we made fun of somebody, our best bet, so we actually got some bets right during the show, so we'll reflect on those few that we got right. There was enough to go around between the 2 picks that we'll have. And then, of course, flex.
Yep.
So with that in mind, inside joke.
You're going first. This is your goodbye, so you're going first.
Okay, this is fair. And because this one does make sense to be the first one. So the inside joke is the origins of the name Panel B, which a lot of people did not know.
Right.
Did not know. It's not clear, and we never really discussed. So
right.
The origins of Panel B, there was a draft show where we all got to wear our finest Wrangler. Great sponsor. We don't give out free ads. This is not a free ad. Wrangler, nope. You're awesome. Wearing Wrangler jeans that I got from that show right now.
As am I.
Yeah.
As am I.
Wrangler.
And a Frankenstein shirt. This is not from Wrangler.
You're the best, Wrangler. And so there were two panels. Panel A had the heavy hitters. They had the Pat Mayos. They had the Adam Levitans. Reed Fowler was there too.
Not sure why. That was odd.
Looks.
That was an odd choice.
He's got good hair.
Mahalo, I guess.
And then Panel B was us scrubs. It was
the scrubbies.
Yeah. But we brought it. I think we had the best. We called Daniel Jones going at 6 to the Giants.
I'm still laughing about Ed Reed Fowler.
I mean, Pat Mayo's got a show named after him.
Adam Levitan has a cult following.
Yeah. And then Reed. Yeah.
Yep.
So, we were Panel B. And it's not that we were bitter or anything, but that it actually said Panel B. kind of stuck. And then when we were talking about let's do this podcast, it's like, well, it's the three of us. So for the working title was Panel B, and then it's like, well, why change it?
Right.
So there you go, Panel B.
I've already decided that we will not rebrand
the Panel B explains our Napoleon complex.
But we will not rebrand. We're not going to rebrand.
As you should not.
No, we should not. But for the record,
then Jessie Cofield should be on the show. She was. Anyways, we'll flip that out later. She was also on Panel B on the Wrangler show.
Wow. We didn't even know. We have a fourth member.
There you go.
And for
you
the
gotta
record,
let her know. But
for the record, Panel A never got a podcast. Bunch of dopes.
They only actually do ad reads in their podcast, but that's all right.
You're right.
Wrangler, you're the best.
By the way, I have no problems with any of them except Reed.
Fair.
Mahalo.
So what's your inside joke?
The Andrew Casher thing had a life of its own.
Hope.
So the funny part of this was when they made the trade for him, I was legitimately angry. Like, because let's be honest, this guy sucks, okay? He is not a good pitcher. He's horrible. And then it turned into like a life of its own, and we brought him up every show, and it became a thing like if you listened, there was Easter eggs. Like we would slip his name into it. So
the reasoning because Julian discuss why he was brought up even in the first place because it was before the trade.
That's the biggest part. Julian kept saying that if you bet on every game that Andrew Casher pitched, you'd be like up like all this money.
Right.
And he kept saying like you got to bet on Andrew Casher.
He was the most profitable pitcher when he was with the Orioles.
And I absolutely that's like betting on the Bears. Like I absolutely not putting money on it. I don't care what the statistics say. I'm not doing it. And then it just turned into a life of its own, and he's a friend of the show. We're actually trying to get him to come in as a third guy. Yeah. Because I don't think he's employed by any team right now. And he probably won't be.
You constantly on him might not help.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. That's true. Julian puts up with it, so why can't Andrew Casher?
So that was mine.
Okay.
Yep. All right, what's your ridicule?
What is next here? So Ridicule. Well, great segue. Panel B always had good transitions. Please keep that going. So my ridicule is, we got the Rise of Skywalker coming out. Mine is the Rise of Lenny Moore. Because we do our stack with the Colts. Bukes pulls up just his quote-unquote notes. It's literally just 4 names.
No, I had stuff underneath.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
You didn't.
I told you.
You'll get your chance. Jesus. And he's just like, running back. We're talking about the best fantasy running backs on the Colts in history. He's just like, Lenny Moore, of course, and moves on. I never heard the name Lenny Moore before. And you brush it off like it's nothing. You have no stats to back it up. We do your work for you and like read up on Lenny Moore, and he's this kick-ass guy and like from the 60s, and that's awesome. And then after that name comes up, he's on, because he played for the Baltimore Colts, when the Baltimore Ravens are in a primetime game, he's on the Mount Rushmore of Baltimore football gods on ESPN.
Yep.
Out of nowhere, or whatever, maybe it was on NBC, I don't know. And then the NFL lists their top 12 running backs of all time.
There he is.
And Lenny Moore makes the list. And everyone's all mad because like LaDainian Tomlinson didn't make the list, but Lenny Moore's on there. And I say to this day, it's because they were listening to the Panel B podcast, and they're like, who is Lenny Moore? Oh, he's this awesome guy. So I credit you with the rise of Lenny Moore.
Right. And I agree.
I guess I'm giving you like props, but really like ridiculing you in the same way because you had no argument for him except, of course, it's Lenny Moore.
So the story behind it was I was doing the stacks in my Uber. I was running late. I was doing my stacks
in your Ubers.
Well, how am I supposed to get here? If I'm running late, I'm not going to be able to get a spot at the train station.
You're not running then, yeah.
Right. So I was doing it, and then somehow I cleared out the notes. So as I was walking in, I just wrote the name because I remember the names. I just threw the names in. And then I'd never had anything to back it up.
Yep. I remember looking over your shoulder and Johnny Unitas was spelled Johnny Unitoes.
Okay, that's my phone's fault. That's not my fault. That's the phone changing that. But yeah, Lenny Moore, he's become prominently back into pop culture.
Yes.
Just like Frankenstein.
You have resurrected Lenny Moore.
Yep. If you need a pop culture resurrection, you know who to call. Panel B Podcast, Steve Buchanan, 978-761. That's it. You forget out the rest.
Wow. No Mike Jones here.
So ridicule.
Yeah.
My favorite one was, I forget what we were stacking, but Julian was adamant about like reading off these stats of why his made sense. So I got up and left. I left the show. I exited the studio, and that was. You remember that?
Yeah,
I did. Yep.
I'm gonna say not a great ridicule if you don't even remember what it was.
Well, because I was so sick of
hearing it. And you just wanted
it.
to praise yourself for walking off.
No.
It's your signature move.
But it sure. I was so uninterested in hearing Julian that I just left. I went. I think I went to the bathroom.
Some of us are professional enough when we're uninterested in hearing our coworker. We're just say, yep.
You have said that a lot.
Moving on now.
Especially in meetings that I've had with you. So that's...
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, we'll have to see. Hey, all I can say is there's a lot of things, we're still trying to figure out a lot of things, but hey, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah? Good talk.
Best bet.
All right, let's move on to our best bet now. Right. And for me, this was pretty early on in my lengthy undefeated streak, which is not standing anymore. And this was a ridiculous. I think it was like plus 400. I parlayed for one pick. I parlayed the Cowboys spread against the Dolphins. They were like 13-point favorites against the Dolphins, and I parlayed that with the under, which was like 42.
Which is kind of crazy.
Which is crazy, exactly. And I did it because I was like, why not? It's early on. And it hit. They won.
And that was plus 400? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, well, I remember seeing that plus. Panel B is not about facts.
Yeah.
It was definitely plus.
But hold on. This was your best bet. And you don't even know what it was.
Oh, I know what the bet was. I don't know what the actual number was. It was
400. That would never make any sense for a favorite and then the under.
It wasn't a favorite. It wasn't a money line. It was a spread. So it was the same.
So even worse. So it'd be like minus 110, minus 120. And then the under would be no more than minus 105.
Yeah. But when you're talking about parlaying the money lines, you're talking about like minus 250 or minus 500 like the Panthers are. So no, it is better. It gets you higher. I might ask Sportsbook Ops to look that up, what it would have been. But it was definitely plus money. You can't deny that. And when we talk about our usual spread picks, we're picking one at a time because we dearly care about this record now.
Right.
So that was my best one.
Okay.
It's been all downhill since then.
It has, and we called it.
Yeah.
We called it. When you weren't here and you gave us your favorite Halloween costume was Darth Vader, I knew that was the beginning of the end for you. Dork. Best bet.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, let's go. He doesn't give a crap. Best bet.
What a rebel.
We were talking about the World Series.
Yeah.
We said if you like the Nationals in Game 6, take them to win the series because they were plus money at that. I think it's...
We were so right about the entire World Series.
We really were.
Every single time we hit every peak and every valley.
Yep. So they were down 3-2 at the time, heading into Game 6. Not only did they win that game, they won Game 7. So if you had bet them to win the series, which I know it was plus money. I want to say it was over 200.
Yeah.
You would have had a nice little payday there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we seriously nailed the World Series. So hopefully we make it into Season 3 so we can talk about that again. And World Series has been very profitable for this podcast.
Is there going to be no World Series in Season 2? Is there a work stoppage we're going?
I don't know how the seasons divvy out now. This is like uncharted territory for us now.
That's true.
But 2 years ago, Julian got the Steve Pearce MVP.
Yep.
And that was big odds.
Yep.
Big odds.
And his two favorite people, Steve, you, and Pierce, his son, we're guessing.
Right. And if his wife only held out one day, we could have shared the same birthday. It really was disappointing, but whatever. All right, what's your flex?
Never tell her that. My flex. All right. Well, I feel like I've done too much praising of Buke, so I kind of want to change it, but I can't. Your Twins eulogy was an all-time great one, and I said it then, and I'll say it again because we never prepare for this show, ever. Like, preparing for this show, we're lucky that it's a 20-minute walk from our desks to the studio here because that is when we prepare the show.
Yep.
And you brought candles. There was prepared notes from the good book.
A eulogy.
Yep. A true eulogy. We buried the Twins.
That's right.
In their proper, we gave them a proper burial.
So the funny thing was that I can only imagine what producer Matt was thinking because I slacked him the day before. I said, hey, I want to run a couple things by you. Can I read a eulogy? And what can I say and what can I not say? And what are the sprinkler systems like in here? Because I'm thinking of bringing candles. So I was actually going to light candles and put them like on the desk. And he wasn't sure. There is
a smoke detector.
We do have smoke detectors in here. Obviously we can't see them, so that would have been a problem because it would have been, panel B, all the water coming down, all the equipment in here, all for a stupid eulogy. So we landed on fake candles, which looked great.
But the ratings for season 1 probably would have been a little higher if we set the studio on fire.
And I have to give props to, I believe it was Cody, who got an unbelievable shot back here of the candles. And there he is. Look at number one. Number one. If I can make that into a poster, I would. And it would look wonderful back here in the background. Maybe we'll do that in season 2.
Wait, the poster would be the actual shot of the wall?
That is correct.
So it would look exactly the same.
It's like a mirage. Yes.
That seems like a waste.
Oh man.
I would put it in my room, so it would inspire me every day.
That's true.
If you haven't gotten me a gift yet for going away.
It is my birthday. You're leaving next week. Today is my birthday, so I should be getting the gift first.
Yeah, but it's so close to Thanksgiving.
I don't give a crap about Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday.
Flex.
Yes.
You know what I'm going to miss?
What?
Ridiculing your watches.
Not even wearing one.
Packed not
them
even
away
wearing
already.
One. I was so angry that you were not wearing one today.
Yeah.
But that is what I'm going to miss the most because you just have this collection of watches. It's like you're...
I wouldn't call it ridicule. I think you liked them.
Maybe I'm jealous.
Yeah.
And maybe, like when a girl likes you in elementary school and she makes fun of you, but she actually likes you. Maybe that's where I am. Maybe this is my time of coming out and telling you that. But I'm not because I don't care.
Wow. Reflections. We're learning new things about everybody today. Buddy. What else you got?
I think that's it. I think I just heard 57 in my ear, which means this is another long episode.
50? No, he was saying 50 cent because...
That's how much your watches are?
Folks, that is going to do it for the Panel B podcast. For season 1, it will be back. It will be, I don't want to say better than ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
that. Because in heart of hearts. But truly, it's been an honor, sir. It's been a pleasure. Julian. Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Dope.
And we will see you next time for Julian Edlow and his born child. For Stephen Buchanan, I'm Alex Jankowski. And some of us will see you next time.